You ever feel like no matter what you do, someone somewhere is always pulling the strings of your life? Maybe it's your boss who keeps piling on extra tasks, your friend who guilts you into saying yes, or even a family member who somehow makes every choice you make feel wrong. And the worst part? Most of the time, you don't even realize it's happening. You brush it off, thinking it's normal. Or maybe you convince yourself that you just need to be nicer or more flexible. But deep down, something inside you is quietly screaming, this isn't fair. It starts subtly. A comment here, a favor there. Someone asks for your help, and you say yes, even though your day is already packed. You tell yourself it's fine, that you're being helpful, that this is what good people do. And yet, each time you agree to something you don't want to, each time you swallow your discomfort for the sake of someone else's feelings, you give away a little more of your control. You don't notice it at first because it's gradual, almost invisible, like water wearing down stone. But after months or years, you start to feel the weight. You feel drained, resentful, frustrated with yourself, and sometimes even ashamed, like there's something inherently wrong with you. You might think it's just life, or that this is how relationships work. But here's the truth most people never tell you. It's not about being weak or selfish. It's about boundaries, or more accurately, the lack of them. Boundaries aren't walls. They aren't about pushing people away or being difficult. They're invisible rules that protect your energy, your time, and your peace of mind. Without them, you're like a puppet on someone else's strings, dancing to a rhythm you didn't choose. And that's why so many of us feel trapped without even knowing why. We wake up, go through the motions, respond to requests, take on obligations, all while our own desires and priorities quietly fade into the background. We've been conditioned to put others first, to avoid conflict, to be liked, to be good. Society praises compliance and punishes resistance, so over time, we stop questioning it. We accept that exhaustion and guilt are just part of life. But they're not. Imagine for a second how different it would feel if that pressure lifted. Imagine answering a request and genuinely wanting to say yes, instead of out of obligation. Imagine declining something and feeling no guilt, no fear, no anxiety, just calm certainty that you are allowed to make your own choices. Imagine walking into your day feeling light, free, and in control of your own time. That's not a fantasy. That's reality for anyone who learns the right way to set boundaries. And there's a trick to it, one simple yet powerful method that changes everything. The reason it works is simple but profound. Most people are not used to hearing boundaries. When someone finally says, no, this isn't okay with me, it throws off the patterns they've relied on for so long. It's uncomfortable for them, yes, but it's liberating for you. It's the moment you stop being controlled, manipulated, or guilt into things that drain your life. It's the point where your energy stops being someone else's currency and starts being yours again. And here's the kicker. You don't have to shout it from the rooftops or turn into a confrontational, cold person. You can keep your kindness, your empathy, your generosity. You don't need to feel guilty. You just need to learn how to protect your boundaries in a way that others can respect without resistance. That's what this video is about. That's the one trick that will make them powerless over you. And once you master it, your life will never feel the same again. Because here's the thing. Freedom doesn't come from escaping people or avoiding situations. Freedom comes from knowing your limits, claiming your space, and owning your choices without apology. And in the next few minutes, you're going to learn exactly how to do that, step by step. You're going to see why saying no can feel impossible, why we let people control us without realizing it, and most importantly, how one simple boundary can change the entire game. By the end of this, you'll not only understand it, you'll be ready to use it. And trust me, once you do, nothing will ever control you the way it used to. You've felt it before, that tightening in your chest when someone asks something of you and you want to say no, but somehow you don't. Maybe it's your boss asking for an extra hour at work when you already planned dinner with your family. Maybe it's a friend expecting favors, or a relative making yet another decision about your life without asking. That hesitation isn't weakness. It's a signal. It's your mind and body telling you that your boundaries are being crossed, even if you've never learned how to name them. It often starts with small, almost invisible cracks. You say yes when you should say no, thinking it will make life easier or keep the peace. You nod along when someone pushes your limits, telling yourself it's fine, that you're not really bothered, that this is just how things are. But every time you ignore that little voice inside, it grows louder, simmering beneath the surface until one day it erupts into stress, resentment, or anger you can't quite explain. You might lash out at someone unrelated, feel inexplicably exhausted, or question your own worth. That's how deep this pattern goes. Many people live their entire lives like this, quietly giving away their energy. You might be polite, accommodating, and even admired for your helpfulness, but inside, the emotional toll is enormous. You start to feel like your life is no longer yours. You're moving according to the demands and expectations of others, and in the process, your own dreams, priorities, and happiness fade into the background. It's subtle, which is why it's so dangerous. By the time you realize it, the habit is ingrained. You've been conditioned to believe that saying yes is the moral choice, that your value is measured by your ability to serve, to comply, to keep everyone else happy. And here's where the emotional tension really kicks in. You know you need to say no. You feel it in your gut. But then comes the fear. The fear of rejection, of disappointing someone, of conflict. You worry about being judged, about angering someone who matters to you, or being labeled as difficult. And so you freeze, nod politely, smile, and comply. It feels like survival. You tell yourself that's just the way relationships work, that you'll find a balance eventually. But deep down, the frustration keeps building, like an invisible weight sitting on your chest. This struggle is more common than most people admit. It's woven into the fabric of our brains. Social scientists call it social compliance, but for you, it feels personal. Every time you bend to someone else's will, your brain releases a little anxiety, a little guilt, signaling, this isn't aligned with your needs, but be careful. Don't upset them. Your body becomes trained to obey, even when it hurts you. That's why saying no can feel nearly impossible. It's not just a choice, it's a battle against years of conditioning, against the way people have learned to respond to your kindness, against your own fear of conflict. Imagine someone asking you for a favor at the worst possible time, and instead of panicking or saying yes, you calmly say, I'm sorry, I can't do that right now. Imagine the relief, the lightness, the quiet power that washes over you when you speak your truth without hesitation. You might feel a little nervous at first, maybe even guilty, because your brain is so used to obedience. But that discomfort is temporary. The liberation that comes after, when your energy stays yours, when your choices are respected, is permanent. And that's exactly what boundaries do. They give you back control, not by being aggressive, but by being clear, consistent, and unapologetic. Let me share a story you might recognize. There's someone, call her Emma, who spent years saying yes to everyone, coworkers, friends, family, even strangers. She rarely spoke up for herself, believing her value was tied to how much she helped others. At first, it worked. People liked her. They relied on her. But over time, she began feeling invisible, overworked, and deeply frustrated. She lost sight of her own goals, her own happiness. Every day felt like she was running a race she didn't sign up for. Then, she learned a simple boundary trick. She started small, saying no when it mattered most. The first time she said no to her boss politely but firmly, it was terrifying. But afterward, she felt an unexpected sense of power, relief, and clarity. People didn't reject her. They respected her. Her life began to shift. She had control again. And this transformation didn't require anger, confrontation, or coldness. It required clarity and courage. The reason Emma's story resonates is that it's not about rare talent or charisma. It's about understanding why people respect boundaries and how refusing to be manipulated doesn't make you unkind. It makes you human. When you let others cross your line, you're teaching them that it's acceptable to drain your energy. When you stand firm, you're teaching them, and yourself, that your time, your peace, and your choices matter. That's the emotional pivot you've been waiting for. By now, you should start to feel it. The tension of realizing how often your life has been shaped by others' demands, the fear of standing up, and the excitement of knowing it doesn't have to be this way anymore. The key, the trick that transforms this struggle into freedom, is coming next. It's simple, actionable, and powerful. Once you see it, You'll understand why saying no longer feels impossible, why you can stop letting people control you, and why boundaries aren't a limitation, they're liberation. This is the turning point. From here, you're about to discover the one boundary trick that will take you from trapped and exhausted to empowered and in control. It's not theory. It's something you can start using immediately, and it will change the way people respond to you forever. Here's the truth that changes everything. There's one boundary trick that, when you use it correctly, makes people powerless over you without needing to argue, justify, or over-explain. It's simple in concept but transformative in effect. Most people overcomplicate boundaries, thinking they need long explanations, apologies, or even confrontation. But the trick is about clarity, consistency, and calm confidence. It's about stating your limits in a way that others immediately understand and respect, and the results are almost instant. The first step is recognizing your triggers. Notice the moments when you feel drained, irritated, or guilty. These aren't random emotions. They're signals that your boundaries are being crossed. Maybe it's when a colleague emails at 9 p.m. expecting immediate work, or when a friend calls last minute demanding attention. Pause and ask yourself, does this align with my priorities and my energy today? This moment of awareness is crucial because without it, you continue saying yes out of autopilot. Once you see the patterns, you gain power over them. Awareness is the foundation. The next steps are how you act on it. The second step is stating your boundary clearly and calmly. No over-explaining, no justification, no guilt. You don't need to craft a perfect speech. A simple, firm statement is enough. I can't take that on right now, or I won't be able to attend. The trick is in the tone, confident, neutral, without anger or apology. People are accustomed to hesitations, excuses, or guilt-laden statements. When you remove all of that, your no lands differently. It carries weight because it's unapologetic and unwavering. This is where many people fail. They soften the no, hoping it will be accepted. That's when boundaries fail. The trick is to deliver it cleanly, without emotional baggage. The third step is reinforcing the boundary when necessary. Some people will test it. Some may resist or push back. That's natural. A boundary doesn't fail because someone challenges it. It fails if you do. If someone pressures you, calmly repeat your statement, without adding new reasons or arguments. I've already committed to other priorities, or simply, I can't do that. Your consistency teaches people that your limits are not negotiable. And here's the key. Consistency is far more powerful than volume or emotion. People respect and adapt to calm, unwavering firmness much more than to anger or force. Let me give you a concrete example. Imagine a coworker keeps dropping tasks on your desk late in the day. In the past, you might have said yes, silently resented it, and left work late. With this boundary trick, you pause, recognize the trigger, your time and energy, and respond clearly. I won't be able to finish this today. I can prioritize it tomorrow. No apology, no over-explaining, just a clear limit. At first, your coworker might be surprised or even frustrated, but they adjust. Over time, your boundaries shape behavior, not by intimidation, but by clarity and self-respect. The fourth step is follow-through. A boundary is meaningless if you allow it to be crossed repeatedly. This means you need to respect your own limits. If you say no to something, don't bend under pressure, don't cave to guilt, and don't sneak around your decision. This step is often the hardest because our brains are conditioned to seek approval. But the payoff is immense. The moment you consistently enforce your limits, you gain respect, not just from others, but from yourself. You start to feel a sense of control, power, and inner peace you've never experienced before. Stories like this happen all the time. Take James, for example. For years, he stayed late at work every day, exhausted, trying to impress his boss and avoid conflict. He felt trapped and invisible, convinced that saying no was impossible. Once he learned this boundary trick, he started small. First, he refused one late task politely but firmly. His boss was surprised but accepted it. Gradually, he applied the technique to bigger requests, even in meetings and with clients. Over time, James noticed something extraordinary. Not only did he feel less stressed, but his colleagues treated him with more respect. His opinions carried weight, and his energy was finally his own. The trick didn't just protect his time, it transformed how people perceive him and how he perceived himself. The brilliance of this one boundary trick is that it works across every area of life. Romantic relationships, friendships, family dynamics, work situations, anywhere someone has been draining your energy or subtly controlling your choices. The principle is the same. Recognize your triggers, state your boundary clearly, reinforce consistently, and follow through. You don't need to be confrontational or unkind. You just need to be consistent, calm, and firm. This is the empowerment most people never experience because they've never been taught how to protect themselves without guilt. Here's the final piece of insight. The emotional shift that occurs when you use this boundary trick is immediate and profound. At first, it can feel strange, almost selfish. But the moment you notice the change, the relief, the clarity, the sense of regained control, you start to understand why boundaries aren't walls, they are bridges. They connect you to your authentic self, to your priorities, and to relationships that respect and honor you. You begin to operate from a place of choice, not obligation, and that's when the power dynamic changes. You are no longer a puppet in someone else's story, you are the author of your own life. By the end of this, you'll see that this is not about being rigid or harsh. It's about being strong, intentional, and unapologetically yourself. When you apply this trick, the tension that once held you back dissolves. People stop controlling you, not because you're combative, but because you've quietly and consistently taught them that your energy and choices belong to you, and only you. Once you internalize this, every interaction, every decision, every relationship will feel different. You'll feel lighter, freer, and unstoppable. This is the moment where transformation begins. The boundaries you set today will shape the respect, peace, and power you experience tomorrow. And once you understand this, once you've applied it, nothing will control you the way it used to. Not your boss, not your family, not even your own fear. You've reclaimed your life, step by step, with one simple, powerful boundary trick. Now imagine walking into every situation with complete clarity about what you will and will not accept. Imagine the freedom of making choices that truly honor your priorities, your energy, and your peace of mind. That feeling, the one that comes when you stop letting others control your decisions, is pure liberation. It's not arrogance, it's self-respect. When you consistently enforce your boundaries, people respond differently. They notice your confidence, they respect your limits, and even those who once tried to manipulate or pressure you begin to adapt. Your life stops being dictated by the expectations and moods of others. This is what happens when you take control. Your relationships improve because they are based on mutual respect, not fear or guilt. Your work becomes more productive because you focus on what truly matters. And most importantly, you finally honor yourself without apology. Boundaries aren't walls, they are a declaration of self-worth. They are the bridge to freedom, confidence, and unstoppable energy. Once you implement this one trick, nothing will control you the way it used to. You are no longer reacting. You are choosing. You are no longer giving your energy away. You are reclaiming it. This is your power, and it's time to own it.